Welcome to Mic'd and Medicated.
And this is our first rodeo.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Welcome to the first episode of Mic'd and Medicated.
Brought to you by us, because we don't have any advertisers yet. But if you're listening and want to be one, just slide into our DMs.
We are your co-hosts. I'm Eva Heyman.
I am Caroline Scheinfeld-Leventhal. That is one divorce and new marriage away from a law firm.
We really should start this by saying, why do we need another podcast? Or why do you need another podcast?
Because we needed another podcast. We could not find a podcast that was real, authentic, filter-free, people unafraid to be themselves. Like, we wanted to see what was beyond the veil of everybody just parading around like they know what they're doing.
That's exactly right. And we don't want to hear from the experts. We want to talk in a real first-person way about motherhood, relationships, working, whether that's in the home, outside the home, and just how to stay sane and real through it all.
Also, we want to help you navigate this crazy world of voyeurism where everybody is looking at people's lives thinking they're having a better time. The grass is always greener. It's impossible standards, and we're no longer just expected to keep up with the Joneses, but the Bezos. And I mean, I can't do that. Maybe we can after this podcast.
Right. I think if you're like us and you're living in a community, we're coming to you live from New York City, where it's just all around you, the pressures. We need a real space, and that's what we want to be. So before we get more into the podcast, should we talk about how we met? Do you want to start?
Okay, I'm going to start. So October 7th happened, and I was pretty shocked about how a lot of the New York City schools were not really horrified with what was happening. And it was like a political issue and all this crap. And I was very passionate about being more of an activist and speaking about that Jews needed a voice and everything. And that's how I met Eva, who's a seasoned parent at our school. And we were both extremely vocal about what we felt was morally okay and right. And I think what was attracting us to each other was a lot of people were more quiet and were afraid to rock the boat. And we're like, we're on the Titanic. This ship is sinking. Like, there's no word about rocking. Like, we're either getting on a lifeboat or getting a new boat. And you saw that too. You're like, let's jump ship and fix this. And you were loud and proud. And I think you weren't like turned off by how aggressive I was.
No, I mean, I might have been like, oh, who's this girl? She's batshit crazy. And I kind of love her. But I would say that I think for me, I was a little more maybe surprised by the activist in me. But I think in retrospect, like, I've always spoken my mind. I've always been really honest and open, and I've never shied away from confrontation. And so I think that what was really gratifying, but also surprising to me on some level, is just how many people weren't really comfortable speaking their mind fully, and who kind of like behind the scenes were appreciating us for doing it and for kind of putting ourselves on the line and out there on behalf of this cause. And I think that I realized through that experience that it happened to also, I should say, coincide with when I met you. I had been working forever, and then I all of a sudden found myself unemployed, and I was trying to figure out my next chapter, you know, having just turned 50, like being at this sort of inflection point from a professional standpoint. And I was figuring out, what do I love to do? What am I good at doing? And I realized that I had kind of taken on the mantle of speaking out for things that I didn't feel made sense, or just being really open and honest generally. And so I started to say, oh, maybe I should be a therapist. Maybe I should be a psychiatrist.
Oh my God. That would be, I mean, you don't like to listen. That's a hard job if you don't want to listen.
Fair enough. That's
you
not
like talking.
One of our opposites. That's one of our similarities.
Yes.
But
that's why we have a podcast.
I was like, Doug, maybe I should be a teacher, or maybe I should be a life coach, because I have like all this stuff to share from my experiences, and I just don't know the right kind of channel to give it. And I can't remember exactly where we were going with this, but in terms of like, we met at this time where I think I was circling around like, what can I do to have an impact and to help people? And I think you were kind of coming at it more from, I'm ready to be CEO of something more than just my household. And like, you are just a creative spirit. Like, I knew that from the day I met you, just in terms of how you communicate and how you kind of show up in the world.
A bit eccentric, maybe.
In the best way.
Yeah.
And I think our meeting was, shall I say, kismet?
I'm so proud of you, Eva. For those of you who don't know, kismet is Yiddish for serendipitous, like a moment that was meant to be. And I agree that was a kismet thing. And I think also before, while you were having this sort of life-altering moment of the chapter of one door closing and opening another, October 7th also brought me close to Gelman, Courtney, over there, who we started doing philanthropic stuff for Israel. And I kind of realized after a year of doing that, maybe the real goal is to have a platform where we can advocate for what we feel is right versus just kind of doing different charitable work. And it also brought me more close to my Judaism. But I also felt like I needed some creative part. You can't really be creative when you're raising money for Israel and donations for bulletproof vests, you know? There's not a lot of creative stuff there. Like, oh, if you don't do it, you're an asshole.
Yep. And by the way, I think that brings us really nicely to how we came up with this idea and why we're sitting here today and what we're doing and how we hope we're going to be helping and providing a service and a community for all of you listeners. We hope there are a lot of you out there. So should we talk about that fateful day on your couch?
Absolutely. Is fateful the right word? Is fateful like a little ominous? Ooh, jinx. It was a serendipitous, beautiful day. It was a sunny, balmy 23 degrees in New York City.
Yeah.
And we were sitting on the couch where our daughters were acting a little bit out of control. But it's all good.
I think it was this couch.
It was this couch. You're right. And you were talking about how you have done so much research and hired a lot of experts as long as they were within your insurance network. And I like to go big or go home. And I was thinking about all the other people I've hired, you know, more of the creative world of mediums and psychics. And I had a psychic who said...
The creative world.
You know, also known as the quacks. World of the quacks. Another one. And I was like, I remembered 3 years ago, somebody saying, oh, you're going to get really involved in like Jewish philanthropy. I was like, what? This was like pre-October 7th. And you're going to do something in media or podcast with 2 other women. And one of those women has a name that starts with E.
Did I introduce myself? My name is Eva.
Yeah, I think we did. No? Well, now she's Eva.
We sure will in the beginning. We'll do our little intro. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, don't worry.
Thank you, Gelman. What would we do without Gelman?
We would have nothing. We'd be talking to ourselves in a crazy loony bin. So anyway, I was like,
that's freaky, by the way. Until you told me that story, I'm not sure I believed in psychics, although one of my friends has a crazy psychic story, which when we explore psychics, and another podcast to look forward to, I can reveal that story.
No, I really believe in it. But at this time, I was like, I was kind of making her lose her credibility about the Jewish philanthropy stuff. And I was like, I'll just kind of ignore it. But it was always in the back of my mind because I always thought a podcast was a great idea and a great way to get my creative stuff. Because I used to also do stand-up, which is, there's no pause on that. It's a live situation, so that's very stressful. And I loved it, but it was not feasible. So anyway, we're sitting together. I'm thinking about that moment of the psychic. You mentioned, you're like, I really want to do a podcast. And I'm like, is this the E in the podcast? Is this her? And then I'm looking at my needlepoint pillow. And thank God I'm a maximalist and I buy a lot of crap that I don't need. And it said, this actually is my first rodeo. I was like, oh my God, this is our first rodeo. Your rodeo is different than mine. You know, we're riding different horses or whatever. But no, you say it.
Oh, and just like when you said it, I thought, oh my God, that's genius. Because this is everyone's first rodeo. And we live in this world of experts, and I'll be honest, I really subscribed to the idea that everybody else had all the answers. And I spent my entire adult life just soaking up information, reading, listening, going to classes to get advice on how to be a better mother, how to have a better marriage, how to succeed in the work world, how to build meaningful purpose and relationships, and like blah, blah, blah. I could go on. And what I realized is I was just pasting myself together with other people's recommendations, and I had completely ignored or maybe didn't know I had my own voice. And now when Caroline says this actually is my first rodeo, I realize we're all unique. And so I think we're just both so tired of the experts and this whole idea of like everyone's self-proclaiming expertise to know how to do things when we all have to figure it out ourselves.
And also everybody's lying. And I think that's another thing is I'll give the analogy of like gaydar. I have very good gaydar. So there are women who are like, oh, like I think he's hitting on me. And I'm like, no, he's not interested in you. He's interested in the man to your left. And they're like kind of shocked. So I have the same thing with Instagram and all of these experts. And I can just see through the shit. They're all just, I don't know what they're saying. They're like, oh, I don't drink tequila or any alcohol so I can feel so great. And I take these special herbs. And it's like, no, girl, you don't drink because you went to AA. Like, don't act like it's because you want to be all holistic. You know, like everybody's just.
Right. And how bad do you feel when you are looking at people's vacation photos? Because I don't know about you, but my vacation doesn't look like kids in pressed khakis smiling in front of the ocean with two parents fawning over each other and their crew. And I just started to feel bad. Like my vacations are not luxurious.
You really believed those photos?
Yeah.
That's insane. My vacations are just with kids. They're not a vacation. That's a trip. And it's a relocation where you just... Sorry, it's not a trip. It's not a vacation. It's a relocation. And you just move the fighting from home to an expensive hotel.
Hallelujah.
Nobody's having fun.
That's been my experience. And, maybe one of the reasons I wasn't interested in social media is I already felt very inadequate. And so seeing all the happy, clappy images and all these kind of varnished stories from all these people I knew or was acquainted with, I just had to turn it off lest I want to throw myself out a window. And so
did you have a lot of people who would write like #blessed? That's the worst.
Oh my God.
By the way, the person who posts like 10 photos and writes #blessed, my life's amazing, they want to kill themselves.
See, I didn't know that. And
really?
So what's really interesting, and one of the reasons I love how we got here, is that I came from a place of really kind of believing everybody else had it all going on except me. And you came from a place of knowing it was all bullshit. But what I will say is I think at this point, because I've been on this journey of self-discovery and I've been in therapy and feel like I am the best version of myself today, still a work in progress for sure, but able to have...
It's okay. As Golda Meir says, you don't have to be so humble. You're not that great. I'm just kidding.
I love it. I love it. So basically the point just being is that I am so over the experts. And I think we all are. And so I think one of the things that we're bonding on and excited to do is be the UnExpert. This is our first rodeo.
Yeah, we're unfiltered. We're filter free, baby, and filler free as of today. It could change.
For sure.
And we are what I like to call, also I'm going to actually add one more thing about the vacations, especially couples when they post a lot on vacation. Like if I'm having fun, I'm not taking photos and posting it,
Hallelujah. Can I just tell you, I used to always say one of the other things we bond over is we both have JOMO, joy of missing out.
Right.
And like when I'm home and somebody calls and is like, oh my God, where are you? You need to come. I was always, you can't be having that much fun if you're calling me.
100%. It's like being on a date where you're like, hey, you want to come meet us? My friend would be like, is he that bad? I'd be like, yeah, really bad. 100%. But anyway, back to being filter free, filler free, unedited. Well, hopefully it'll be a little edited. We're what I like to call a post-colonic vibe.
I love that. And because I'm the older but young 50, I've actually had a colonoscopy.
Very, very different.
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay, so for a colonic, going back to the quacks and all those eccentric creatives, it's you basically, I don't even know, they could be anything. I don't even know what the requirement is. It's not a great job, but you get on a table and someone sticks a tube in your ass and sucks all the duty out. and you're supposed to be cleansed, even though I think it totally disrupts your microbiome, whatever. A colonoscopy.
Oh, I know what a colonoscopy
is done by a
is.
doctor, but for those who think it's also a colonic, is when they stick a camera up your tushy to investigate your colon to make sure you don't have colon cancer. That is the difference.
Okay, so I have two questions because this is very enlightening for me. One, why couldn't I have a colonic before my colonoscopy and instead had to eat or drink rather all of that disgusting medicine to make myself shit it all out before? And two, I think the point is the same, which is I was shit free and it felt great.
I think, you know what? That's a great point. I think those are two ways to go about it. You could have a colonoscopy or a colonic, and if you don't go to the one who does the colonic, you might have a problem and not know it. Like the colonic lady's not going to make sure you're fine. But yes.
And can I brag?
Do you have a nice colon?
Yeah. My doctor, I can't remember his name right now, told me that I have the colon of an 18-year-old.
That is so sad that just sucks for you because I feel like it's not you have the boobs of an 18-year-old.
Yeah, no, nobody
said that. He's the only
to
person
me.
who can see.
Although my daughter says I have the boobs of a 10-year-old, so that might be true.
That's a great compliment. We all had really nice boobs at 10.
But back to the point, I think what we're offering, I want to just underscore it. This post-colonic vibe is we're not going to tell you what to do. We're not going to tell you you're not doing it well. We're not going to tell you there's a right way to do it. We are going to just be messy, raw, and real, and we are going to open up ourselves and be vulnerable. Because if I've learned anything in all these years is I connect with people when it feels real. And when there's vulnerability, that's when you get to feeling togetherness. And too many people out there feel like they're alone. And especially if you live in a place like we do, New York City, where everyone's like walking around pretending to be living the good life even when they're not. And that's just no fun for anyone.
Also,
because
what is the good life? Like, what does that even mean? You know, there's good life. Everything comes with a price.
For sure. But I also think it's like, I think, or I hope, similar to like how we met and the experience that bonded us, that we are doing this so that everyone can feel they are part of a community where they feel heard, understood, where they can like be open. And even if you're only open in spirit when you listen to us.
Ooh, look at you going creative, eccentric over here.
That's right. No, but I mean this. I'm being sincere in that I think we both want people to listen to us and feel, they can just let the guard down, and maybe we'll inspire you to be a little more open and messy with your real world. Because
I also think I love that, and I think obviously I love that. I'm doing a podcast with you, but no surprise there. But I think what you're saying, it totally makes sense. And then I think, but also you don't have to accept a mediocre life, or just be like, okay, my life's kind of we also want you to, whatever your version of success is, we want you to get there. So we do want to be a little motivational. And also, like, if you need help, we're all about finding the right help. We're also, I don't know if you noticed, but we're not just called mic'd, we're also mic'd and medicated. So we also want to talk about how medicine is amazing and can make you feel great and can help you get to whatever that success is you want. Mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, I love meds. I think they're great. Prescribed by a psychiatrist, obviously.
And I would say I really spent most of my life feeling a little judgy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get through it. And weak people rely on meds. And what I will say is the last 5 years, not only has been therapeutic in terms of my talk therapy, but also I did start taking an anti-anxiety medication. And let me tell you, it has been life-changing for me. And I notice when I tell people how many people either are living with that secret, feeling some kind of shame or stigma about doing it, or are very curious, but maybe had those same reservations, that I did going into it. And I mean, honestly, all I can say is I should have been medicated since I was in college, and it's a shame it took
Only
me till
since
45.
college?
Okay, maybe even earlier than that, although I have no childhood memories. So
Trauma.
We'll get into trauma brain later, too.
That's for another day.
That's for another
Yeah,
day.
I think I agree, the medicine stuff, too. I also think it's not just anxiety, but like grown-ups have ADD. You'll get to know us. You'll know that I definitely have ADD, or whatever. It's now all ADHD. So I also think meds for ADD for grown-ups is real. It's not just, it has a bad stigma because I know people in college took like Adderall, but
Totally.
If you have ADD, it's not taking Adderall is like calms you versus like making you feel like you're high, you know?
One of my dear friends who's a pediatrician says, Mother Nature's a bitch and she'll kill you if you give her half a chance. So
I love that.
would you go to the dentist and not get Novocaine before a filling?
No, just like I wouldn't have my baby without an epidural and brag about some natural ass delivery with candles and rose petals. No. And I hate we have to go to that, women who brag about that. That is my pet peeve because it is hard being a parent, hard being a mom. It is really hard birthing a human.
I totally agree.
People who make you who shame. So we're not shaming. By the way, if you are one of those rose petal people, we still hope you tune into our podcast.
But I will say, like, I couldn't agree more. Although
your book, no shame zone.
No shame zone. Although I will say, full disclosure, because that's what we're all about. I had a C-section with my first child, and I was a little sad that I missed the beautiful birthing experience, and I wanted to go natural the next time. Well, that's what I thought it was going to be, and I wanted to go natural the next time. And while I ended up having a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean, I think natural now actually means without
natural
medicine.
Natural means unmedicated.
And I wanted that. I'll be honest. I thought I wanted that. But let me tell you, that is not for the faint of heart. And I got to the hospital and was like, epidural. So yes, I agree with you. But I guess where does that bring us to now?
Well, I think, we should talk about one of the reasons we're able to be mic'd and medicated, this podcast, is we have our Gelman. Because you could not have Regis and Kathy Lee without Gelman. So
I hope I'm Kathy.
I think actually, you know what? I'll take Regis, but I actually think we might be a little more Howard Stern Robin.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who's which, because sometimes you shock me and you can be a little Howard. I mean, wait for it. And I might even be more like Regis. So,
or Robin. But I will underscore that this is only made possible by our
PBS
third partner, our behind the scenes partner, Gelman. Actually, her real name is not Gelman. But why don't we turn to you, Courtney, and let you just quickly introduce yourself since you will be part of this podcast.
Okay, fine, if I must. No, I'm kidding. And apologies in advance for the Phoebe Buffet sexy voice.
It's great. I think you should stick your head out the window with wet hair all the time.
Yeah. And get me those meds. I was so happy to get those
antibiotics
penicillin yesterday. No, thank you for introing me. And I'm so excited that you guys are doing this. I think what really resonated with me and drew me to helping you too, especially having this marketing background, but more than that, really as a mom of two kids who are 5 and 7, is that I am the type, and I know Caroline, you've known me for longer, but I think Eva, you know me now from working together, is that I do like to keep it real. I do wear my heart on my sleeve. And for me, it's hard to exist out there and see that there is like a reservation and a bullshit and not have that outlet to be able to really say it like it is and have that back, have people give that back. And I really see that in the both of you. And I really believe in this for that reason, because you tell it like it is, you break it down, you are vulnerable, and that's what this is all about. We're going to talk about sometimes we really do hate our husbands.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Just kidding. Love you, Jeremy.
Like we're going to talk about what the hell do we do when our kids are fighting and we love the mom or the parent. All these things that are like swirling through our heads that I like to air it out. I like to get it out there, and I like to be able to relate to other people in that way. And I think that's why this is going to be so important, because that's what we're going to cover in all of these episodes and through this community. So if you're like me and you love to put on a good podcast while you're unloading the dishwasher at night, or annoying peeling a cucumber, making that lunch for your kid, or annoying your husband when he wants to go to sleep and you just don't want to be alone, like here we are, we're here for you. And I'm really excited to go on this ride with you guys. So yay.
We're so excited, and this could definitely not be possible without our Gelman.
I mean, I think the three of us, it's
like a trifecta.
Yeah, we really all complement each other. And most important, we all believe in what we're doing, and we're all doing it from a place of love and wanting to help people. And I think we all love people. Like, I think
really, I don't love it. I don't love people. I like certain people.
I love my people, but I think I generally love meeting people. I have met so many strangers who I've told about.
Oh, well, that's great. You're great for marketing. I'm not.
So I think, is there anything else we want to say before we wrap? Gelman, are we done here? Did we forget anything?
My brain. Okay. If I only had a brain.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Gelman, I think it's about time to end this on a good note, but did we forget anything?
Yeah, I think it's time, guys. All right, I think we should just tell our listeners where to follow us and when are they going to hear from us next.
Well, we want to thank you for listening to Mic'd and Medicated. Whether you loved listening or love to hate us, we have zero shame. So please subscribe to our podcast.
Also, how did you find us so we can really target our marketing money? So I don't spend it on somewhere else. Like if I want to know if it was that sign on Chipotle on 82nd Street, like that's how you found us. I'm going to add more.
Do we have a sign there?
No, but it would be funny if we did.
I think we should.
We probably should.
I don't know if Chipotle eaters are our target audience.
No, and it's
Caroline is not.
It's not Chip at all. No, you're right. Well, anyway, you could find us at @Mic'd and Medicated, and that's MicDandMedicAted.
And that's on Instagram.
That's on Instagram, and let me tell you, we are great. We are funny on there. You will find memes and reels for days, and you will waste so much time on our profile. So,
and also stay tuned because we're launching I was about to say Facebook, but that's lower priority right now. But we're launching our YouTube, our website. We're going to be on TikTok.
Well, we're going to be on TikTok. Okay.
This podcast you can find anywhere you listen.
And now, mic drop. That's all right.
Thanks for listening to Mic'd and Medicated. We hope you loved listening to us.
But even if you didn't, we have zero shame. So still subscribe to our podcast, leave a comment, and a 5-star review.
And follow us on Instagram and slide into our DMs because they are wide open.
This show was created in New York City and hosted and produced by
Eva Heyman
and Caroline Leventhal. And mic drop.